Welcome to Sparkling Harmonies. We are your hosts, François.
And Lily.
And we are two friends who don't quite listen to the same music or genres,
but who are here to talk to you about everything and anything music related.
Yay!
So, how have you been, François?
Oh, really good. The second wave is not that bad. we're getting used to it. I'm pretty sure the cold temperature helped a lot to accept the fact that I'm inside for a couple of weeks.
Yeah. We right now it is beginning of November and there is snow outside. It's not going to stay very long, but there is snow outside.
Yeah, well, I was quite surprised this morning to see all the white cover.
Same here. And what have you been listening to these days?
I continue my journey through, I would say, the new wave of rap or trap rap. I don't know how to name it properly because there's a big mix up of metal, industrial from the 90s. I was really enjoy NC Icon by Ghost Main, I think I have to say, because there's an E between Ghost and Main, so I don't know if I have to say Ghost Main or Ghosty Main. Sorry. And I really quite enjoying it because, there, like I said, there's a big influence of. I'm pretty sure the guy was a fan of Nine Inch Nails.
Okay.
Or maybe probably Marilyn Manson and even Korn and stuff like that. So probably because it's speaking to me because that was the music I was listening when I was a teenager.
Right.
And by him, I discover Lil Peep. And it's another rapper. The sad part, I discover him and I was like, oh, nice, a new artist. And I read his bio and he's dead. So, so this year is the 4th anniversary of his, I think is the only real release of an album he had in 2016. It's Hellboy. And I really like it. It's like Ghosty Main. Sorry again. There's a big mix up, but it's more like a emo rap.
Okay.
It's
That's
like
interesting.
It's really dark and like about feeling and I don't know, maybe killing himself and everything. I know it's like dark, but I like the vibe. It's really remember me like the emo phase of probably all the band back in the days, My Chemical Romance and all those, but in a more rap
way,
industrial mood. That was cool. And you, Lily, what are you listening?
I've been listening to, so by the time this comes out, this is going to be old news. But I've been listening to the Main just released their cover of, I have a blank here. Watermelon Sugar. By Harry
who?
Styles. Harry Styles. So funny story. I'm a Harry Potter fan. The what you notice here in the back of me most of the time is actually the bottom of a Hogwarts castle that I made myself that I stuck onto the wall. So François read too fast and thought
way too fast.
thought they did a collaboration with the world of Harry Potter somehow. And texted me, oh my gosh, you must be so excited. The Main crossover Harry Potter. I was like, what are you talking about? Turns out it was the Harry Styles cover that I had already been listening to. But I appreciate the excitement.
Seriously, I was really curious what in Harry Potter style. I was like, oh, I didn't remember there was a song in Harry Potter's like, the intro song, but I was pretty sure that was something I missed out. Probably a band or I don't know. I don't know the lore of Harry Potter, so maybe there's band in the big universe.
There is in the 4th movie when they're doing the ball. There's a band that plays.
Yeah.
It could have been. But so that's one song. So that's one song that I've been listening to. I think they did a really good job. Honestly, I think I might have heard the original song once. Okay. But then I heard their song and I've listened to it a lot since. It's pretty good. They also have a really cool video clip. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out on YouTube. And the other thing that I've been listening to, kind of planning this episode, is Savannah which is an American band that sadly doesn't exist anymore, but that I found out about, I listened to them maybe 8-10 years ago. So I'm sad that you can't even find them on Spotify. You can only find them on SoundCloud. So I had to go on SoundCloud and listen to their EP or their album, Luma Optica, and it's very good. I really liked it. I wrote a few pieces on them when I was working for Confront magazine.
Oh, maybe if you're lucky, you can try to contact them via Facebook or other social media to get maybe an album.
Maybe. I think I did get albums back then, though, because I think I did a review and I got the album beforehand. Okay. Yeah. But it's just like I own the albums. I bought them when they were on iTunes and everything like that. But it's just now I almost only use Spotify because it's just easier.
Yeah.
So
guilty as charged.
Yeah.
Guilty as charged.
So having to go onto SoundCloud to listen to something, I was like, oh, it's like a little bit an extra step that I usually don't need to think about when I listen to music now.
Yeah, and to me, it's feel cumbersome.
Cumbersome.
That word. Because I don't know. I think I didn't read the manual for SoundCloud, and I always lost stuff, and I don't remember if I saved the song or not, or it's my playlist, or I have to find it somewhere else. I don't know. I'm not a fan of SoundCloud. I know it's pretty popular, but
me neither. So those are the things that I've been listening to this.
That's nice. That's nice. So you're in the mood for the show today.
Yes. So what's today about, François?
That's a special day.
I'd rather you present it than me today because it's a little bit special today.
So to put you in context, this little interview we have today, because today Lili is a guest to her home show. Welcome to Sparkling Harmonies, Lili.
Thank you for having me.
So we will use it as an introduction for our next stretch of shows, because we will have all the girls from Come From magazine.
Not
on
all
the show
the girls, but
not all. Sorry, sorry, but we will have a couple of episodes with them to talk about the experience and all you did back then, because that was pretty on your own shoulder all the time. That wasn't big part of something bigger, I think. So we will present what is Come From magazine and learn about your experience in the magazine. And the other goal of the show today, it's gonna help me be more comfortable interviewing someone. Yeah. And I hope I will match Lili's standard.
I mean, I have a lot of years of experience. And I mean, part of my job, if you want, is also kind of interviewing people. When I'm asking people about their eyes, about their health and everything, that is kind of like an interview. So this is
and make them comfortable with you.
Exactly. So don't worry if you're not 100%. You don't get to practice as much as I do.
Yeah, I will get to this. I hope so. One day.
I think you will.
So to start, the first question is probably the most evident one, but what was Come From magazine?
So Confront magazine was an online music magazine based here in Montreal. I'm not sure anymore when it started, and the website doesn't exist anymore, so I can't go look it up.
Yeah, but
it was started by Angel and Christine, if I'm not mistaken. And honestly, I won't get into that a lot because we're going to get one of them or both of them on in the next few weeks. So I'd rather leave it to them to explain how it started and everything. But I just remember we had very good relations with labels and everything here in Montreal. We weren't very big, being an online magazine back in this started maybe 2000. I joined in 2009.
Oh, okay. That was quite a couple of years back.
Yeah.
So,
and it already existed a few years before I joined.
Okay.
So, back then having an online presence wasn't that big yet. like, yes, there were magazines and everything, but there was still the concept of paper magazines and stuff that a lot of people were still using. And so
I don't know if it's in English you say fanzine.
Yeah. And so we had good relationships with a lot of the labels, I guess. That I don't know how we got there, but because I wasn't dealing with that. I was just putting my name on a list and then getting a call saying, or getting email saying, okay, you're gonna go do that interview this day, and I'm like, okay.
You had the good part of the job.
Exactly. But we got okayed for a lot of big events. Over the years, I covered a weekend of Osheaga. I covered a weekend of Heavy MTL. I covered Warped Tour. So those are pretty big shows.
Yeah, and that's pretty cool at this age. You were like, what, 22, 21?
No, so at 2009, I was 19.
You were 19. That was quite cool to have all those tickets to see all those shows for free and meet all the bands.
I didn't get that many tickets because I'm not very good at reviewing.
Okay.
So I wouldn't put my name down for review. So we basically, how it used to work was we would get this Excel sheet like a month or two in advance with the shows. And if a show you wanted to do wasn't included on the list, then you could just add it. But it was basically the show and you put your name down as photographer, reviewer, or interviewer.
Okay.
And it was always first come, first serve. So that's also what was nice.
Yeah.
The only ones was if 30 Seconds to Mars came around, that was only for Angel and Christine. But anything else was fair game. And I think maybe Backstreet Boys. But everything else was fair game.
Okay, yeah, that's okay if they were doing all the art jobs, so maybe they can have a little something extra. That's
exactly.
Nice.
So I rarely put my name down for a review because I'm just not very good at reviewing, in my opinion. I'm not a good critic.
Okay.
So I'll say stuff like, the show was good, the energy was good, the sound was nice.
So right now I'm taking notes. We will probably try to do a review show once.
Oh no. Or like they played some popular songs. So I wasn't very good. So the rare times that I was reviewing was either because somebody bailed and we had a reviewer ticket already and we had to use it, or sometimes I was offered it the day of by the label rep that was there for the interview with me.
So you were pretty active and open-minded to try everything.
I was very active. I put my name down for all the empty spaces that I could. So back then I was either end of CJET, beginning of university, before I got into optometry. So I had a light schedule.
Okay. So why not using it to go to shows and see bands?
Exactly.
Yeah. Good job.
I was the one person who was available, Thursday, 2 p.m. Okay. So yeah, I discovered a lot of bands and stuff through that. And that was really fun.
That's cool.
I said yes to everything, basically.
That's cool. That's a good mindset to have.
Yeah.
So were you a reader before joining?
Honestly, I had never heard of it before.
So how did you end up there?
So back then in 2009, I was 2009. Yeah, 2009. I thought I said 2019. I was like, no, not 2019. 2009, I was into the New Cities, which is a band from Trois-Rivières, if I'm not mistaken. They opened for Simple Plan a lot back then. Okay. And then they were starting to get kind of a name for themselves. At around 2009, they were starting to do bigger shows. And there was a contest. I don't remember if it was to meet the band or to get a signed CD from the band, but I found the contest with them on Confront.
Oh, okay.
And I also saw on the bottom of the page, we are hiring. So I decided, why not?
Why not jumping in?
Why not?
That's nice.
Yep. And honestly, I think I kind of made them take me.
Good point. Why not?
Because I
But
think things weren't confirmed yet, and I was like, okay, so when do I start?
when do I start? Yeah, that's a way to get in.
Yep, and it
But
worked.
so relate to that. Why did you want to get in if you never heard about them or?
Because I wanted to interview bands.
You have a goal. You had a goal and you went for it. That's nice.
Yep. Yep.
So you were there for like what, 10 years?
So I joined in 2009 and we closed down in 2016.
Oh, okay.
So it was just getting too much work, and so Angel stepped down. I don't remember when exactly, but she stepped down as editor-in-chief for maybe a few years before we finished. And so at that point, Jenya, who was on the podcast a few weeks ago, took over, and with Melissa. So they'll be on the podcast in the next few weeks as well. But they took over, and at some point they had full-time jobs and they just couldn't anymore.
Life get in the way.
Yeah. So we'll be able to ask them a little bit more about that when we see them, when we can listen to them. But I think a year after Confront closed down, they missed it and they started another one.
Yeah. I kind of get it. It's probably a fun adventure to
start your own.
Yeah.
And they recruited basically everybody who still wanted to from Confront. But that also, I think, lasted 2 years. So in total, I did maybe, about 10 years with online magazines.
So all the experience interviewing people were from there.
Exactly. Because, I mean, I think back then I kept a Google, just a Word document. And I think I got to 300 or close to 300 interviews.
Quite impressive.
All those years.
Oh, that's cool. And regarding interview, how was your first one? Because I'm pretty sure the first one was probably better than mine, actually. But
so, funny story. There's two firsts here. The first interview that I kind of took upon myself, and this is what I mean by I think I kind of forced myself in, because I didn't get approval or anything for this.
Oh, ballsy Lili.
I just went to the band. This was like a small band from Winnipeg that was in town, and I was at their show and I was talking with them and I was like, "Oh, hey, can I just interview you and maybe we can put this on our website?" And they said yes.
Our website, quote unquote. Said the girl that's not really into the project yet.
Yep. 1 foot in the door. My website.
Maybe 2 foot, right? 2 feet. Right?
So they said yes, and I just remember I think it was me and 2 or 3 of the guys from the band. We were jam-packed into their little van. And I was recording back then I don't think I had a recorder yet. So I think my first few interviews I recorded with like my camera, my little point and shoot camera on the table. Oh. Or so this was in the van, so on the seat.
So you were filming like the crowd ceiling of someone and
no, I was filming in the ceiling.
Okay, wow.
So that was my first interview. My first real interview was with Care Failure, which is the singer. Oh my gosh. And here we go again. A little blank. But it's Care Failure. She was the one that I interviewed. She's a front woman of a band.
Okay.
And this was at the Bell Center.
For the first official interview you did, that was on the Bell Center?
Yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah. So I was really nervous. I went into the press door at the Bell Center, and then I got led through backstage to go to where she was waiting, and it went really well. She was so sweet. It went really well. So that was my first interview, and then I almost got lost on the way out.
I can't judge you. I'm pretty sure I'm the one who gets lost the most here, so no judgment here.
It's huge. The Bell Center inside is huge.
Yeah, especially if you don't follow the normal way to get in.
Mm-hmm.
So left, right, take the steps, left, right, and you're already lost. So
yeah. So those are my first, my unofficial and my official first interviews.
yeah, but that's cool. You put yourself in. I'm pretty sure after that they said, okay, we'll just have Lili in the project and call it a day.
That's when they said, I guess we're stuck with her.
She's part of us now. But,
yeah.
So with all those adventure you had, what was probably the best memories or at least the best stories you have?
Some of these I'm going to save because some of these I want to discuss with some of our other guests. Because some of them concerns two other ones. But otherwise,
you don't want to go down alone. You want to bring her. We want to bring them with you.
Yes, exactly. Because one of these is really funny, and I want to make sure everybody remembers it the same as I do. So stay tuned for that in another episode. But other than that, this I've mentioned before, but one of them is Pictionary with the Maine.
Yes, I heard it quite a lot. The story.
So, I mean, I'm not going to repeat the full story just because it's already on an episode, I think. But basically, I got to play Pictionary with the Maine. That is one of my favorite bands. This is the Maine shirt right here. Can't see. Oh, there you go. So this that was a really good memory, and it's funny because I've had camera problems both of the Maine. Well, I've interviewed them more than twice, but 2 times for the Maine interviews, I've had cameraman problems.
You're cursed.
I guess I am.
I remember our first episode where everything dropped on the floor.
It did not drop to the floor. It only dropped to the table.
Okay.
But because the day of Pictionary with the Maine, the Pictionary, it had to get onto YouTube, so we needed a cameraman, but my cameraman was stuck in traffic. And my other interview with the Maine, this was my first interview with Maine. I think this was back in 2011. So Pictionary, I think, was 2014, 15. But the first one was 2011. And once again, I went and grabbed the same friend who helped me in 2014, years later. She helped me during the first one too. Because I came and I grabbed her and I was like, you're coming with me. You're going to take pictures of my interview because I want memories of this.
But okay, I want to highlight something here. You always find a way to get what you want. Like in the most, like, I don't know if I can call that gonzo way. It's not the prettiest solution, but you get it done. So hat off to you.
Thank you. So I have pictures of my interview. My the Maine interviews were basically, instead of having somebody there with their big professional camera, I had my friend with my point and shoot camera. Good
old friend, the camera and your friend. That's nice.
Yes. And my friends, she sometimes get really shy, so she's just there. She's not saying anything, and she's just taking pictures.
She was right on the spot to do her job.
Yeah. Thanks, Kim, for saving me. So those were two of my memories. Another one, and this is going to be the last one about the Maine here, is when
our counter is already at 4, I think. So it's okay.
So it's when this is when their album American Candy came out, and they were doing phone interviews this time. So I was on my bed waiting to see who calls me. So basically what happens is they call you, the label, back then they didn't have a label anymore. So it's their own label. Anyway, so their, I guess their rep or their, calls you and then transfers you to one of the guys. because that's how phone interviews work, because they don't want the numbers to go out to like random people, right? So I remember I was ready. My phone was on speaker. I had my recorder next to the phone ready, and then it clicks and it's like, "Hey, am I speaking to Lily? This is John O'Callahan from the Maine." And John is a singer.
Okay.
Somebody that,
Is he blonde?
No.
Okay.
But this is usually
sadly for him.
No. But this is how usually you don't expect, being in a smaller magazine, you usually, sometimes we do get the singers, but most of the time when they're doing press during like a full press day, you're not going to be getting the leader or the main singer, You're going to get somebody else, because the leader will just go to, the bigger media.
They want his face like everywhere,
exactly,
as much as possible.
So like, like we would never get Pierre from Simple Plan. We would always get Sebastian. Actually, yeah. Sebastian, I think I've interviewed him 3 times from Simple Plan. But I never got Pierre. Because Pierre would always go to get Musique Plus, La Presse, and stuff like that.
So you have a new goal now.
So I was very surprised. I think I stopped, like I held my breath and I was just staring at my phone for a good 15 seconds without breathing. And I was like, is this really happening?
Yeah, wake up, do something.
And then I was like, oh, hi. And it's funny because I just remembered about this a couple of months ago, and I tried to find the recording of it and I can't find it. I'm very sad.
Oh, but maybe with the other girls, we probably ask them if they have some copies of...
No, I have the interview
that
I wrote, but I don't have the recording of it. Sadly. I can't find that.
We can't hear a little Lili fangirling in front of
my God.
our favorite singer.
And so that was one of so those were some of my most memorable ones from with the Maine. Other than that, I mentioned Simple Plan.
Yes.
If you've listened to our Get to Know Your Host episode about my first album, our first album's Simple Plan is basically a big part of my teenage years. And for a while, they used to do every year a benefit event in Montreal. And every year would be like a special event. So they did one with the Montreal Orchestra. They did one where it was at the Science Center. They did, so it was always a different thing, and it was always very cool. It was like a chic event.
Okay.
And I got press pass for that every year for a while. And so
that's nice.
we got access to their press conference in the afternoon. And then usually after that, the guys are all kind of spread out and they're sent to different press points, like for like 5 minutes each.
Okay, you had like a preset meetings and you were waiting for your time slot to talk with them.
But it was very casual because everybody was just standing around.
Okay.
And so that I got to do every year.
That's cool. That's
a
really cool story.
Yeah. Yeah. And what else? I remember there was also, so I had to think about this in advance, which is why I'm looking down at notes, because I was like, I'm never going to remember otherwise, because I have such a bad memory. I had to write them down. One of the other ones was All Time Low. All Time Low, I got that interview the last minute because Melissa, who's going to be on our podcast soon, she, for some reason, couldn't anymore. And she asked me, I think the morning of, or the night before, can you take over?
Yeah, you were the perfect plan B. So
I was like, yes. I think I had to skip class for that, but I was like, yes.
Yeah, but you said you were in Cégep, so
yeah. No, I think this was a little bit later. So I was already in university.
Yeah, but you weren't in the optometric school.
No.
Okay.
No. No, because when I went into optometry, I stopped. I just didn't have time anymore. So for all time low, you never know who you're gonna get, or sometimes in advance.
Okay.
But sometimes you get there, you know that you have an interview at 2:30, and sometimes you'll just get the first person who's available at 2:30.
Oh, it's kind of tricky. You there's no personal approach to the interview.
No, sometimes like I said, sometimes you'll know in advance. They'll say like a couple of days before, okay, you're going to talk to Alex of All Time Low. But that one, I don't remember. I don't think I knew. But I ended up getting Alex and Jack from All Time Low.
Okay.
And this is something that I'll probably have to post on Instagram. I took the best picture of them at the end of the interview. Because sometimes, and in retrospect, I shouldn't have been shy about it. But I never asked for photos with the band at the interviews.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I just told myself, like, I didn't want to look too fangirl.
Yeah, but that's part of the job.
True.
They know you will ask. I'm pretty sure they already know it's going to happen. So,
but most of the time, I never asked. The only times I had photos was when I had a photographer with me. So most of the time, So most of the time when I really wanted photos, I made sure a photographer was with me, but sometimes it wasn't possible.
Okay.
So All Time Low, I didn't have anybody, but I did ask to take a picture to post with the article. So I have a photo of Jack and Alex sitting on a couch backstage, and I took the photo, and it's a pretty nice photo. And I almost lost that photo because the camera that I used to take that, I lost it a week later. But I had already saved the photo onto my computer.
Yes. The one good point of having such small memories in the camera, you have to empty it like every time you took pictures. So thanks, limitation.
yeah. Because I would have been really sad because I would have lost a pretty good photo. So keep your eyes peeled onto our Instagram. I'll post that there. And the last one that I have is a tiny band, but this is like I think they're from Ontario. And I interviewed them because, like I said, my goal back then was to interview as many bands as possible. And I didn't care if the band I liked had 10 fans or 10 million fans. I would just if I can have the opportunity to talk to them, I wanted to talk to them.
Yeah, and it's a good way to approach them. You don't judge them by their fame. So
exactly. So this is Brighter Brightest that my friends and I would go see twice a year because they were always in Montreal. Always at the Underworld, which is the venue that we talked about a lot with Gabe.
Yep.
And they drew, because another thing that I forgot to mention is I always asked at the end of my interviews, what would you draw to represent yourselves? Because that's something that I wanted. I wanted to stand out somehow. I didn't want to just ask standard questions and then, be like, because they must get bored after a while having.
Yeah, they always get the same question, I'm pretty sure, or some variation of the same questions over and over again.
Exactly. So I was like, we're going to change things up. We're going to draw here. And I think a lot of the reps didn't like me because of that, because I would do, you usually had a time limit with the artist of 10, 15 minutes. And then that's my last question. So then sometimes they would spend a lot of time drawing, and then I'd have the rep glaring at me at the door because they'd be late, but they wanted to finish their drawing.
Not my fault. He's a slow drawer. Not my fault.
Yeah, exactly. So the band Brighter Brightest, they folded up the paper. I don't know what this is called. I think it has a name, but where somebody draws and then they fold it and you can only see the end of the drawing and you have to continue the drawing. And then you fold it and then you give it to somebody else. So the four guys drew, and it gave such a abstract, I think it's a person, but it's so different from top to bottom because you're folding it over. So the person only sees the last few lines that you did. and they're continuing from those last few lines.
But that's an interesting point. It's like we do that with like automatic writing or stuff like that. It's just kind of the same concept. So you can see like everyone added in mind and add to the big picture.
Yeah. So that was kind of like that. And that drawing is hilarious. So that's one of my best moments just because I fell upon this drawing yesterday. And I was like, oh, that's true. This is so funny. And I think that about wraps up my bests.
So now karma is coming. You have all the positive. Now swing it on the other side. What was the worst experience you had?
So I don't want to bash anybody, so I'm not going to name any names. Because our goal is not.
But I'm pretty sure if someone else already interviewed him or saw an interview of someone you will not mention, they probably recognize them because
maybe they will, maybe they won't. Maybe he had a bad day. You know, like benefit of the doubt. Benefit of the doubt. But one of these, and this is something that one of our guests is going to remember as well, because she insisted that I take this interview so that she could come and take photos.
Okay, but why did she didn't want to take?
Because she was only she was a photographer.
Okay.
So she was like,
she needs someone to push in front.
Exactly. So she was like, Lily, take this interview, please. I really like the band. I just want to see them up close. I was like, okay. I didn't know them. This was the most awkward interview I've ever done. Okay. So I like to think that I was pretty good at steering a conversation, at just, you know, being kind of spontaneous about things sometimes, like especially after.
I can confirm that. You're really great to take the ball up and continue like you did with me right now.
Because it's a conversation, and I would have questions that were prepared from my research, but I wouldn't just stay completely stuck to that, you know? Like I wouldn't just ask the questions and then if he answers and then I ask the next question. Like if he said something interesting, I would go off on that, and I could go off on that for 5 minutes.
Okay.
You know?
I'm taking note right now. I need that. Thank you.
Because like I always overshot. So if I knew I had 15 minutes with the band, I would prepare probably 10, 15 questions, you know, just in case.
Just in case. Yeah. Okay. So like, you had the people giving short answers.
Exactly. So just in case. Continue. But like John from the main, I prepared 10 questions and I think we answered 3 because John goes off and talks for 5 minutes on his own.
Yeah, but he's giving you content. So
absolutely. But this band, there were, I think, 2 guys. And there was a language barrier with one of them. So one of them wasn't really answering. But the other one looked like he had taken something or drank something before. His attention was not there. And he looked like it was the worst thing that he could be doing right now, sitting in front of me to answer questions.
Okay. Nice setup here.
So we start, you know, I start, hey, blah, 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 small talk. And then I get into my questions. And it was like such short answers. You know, how was your show yesterday? It was good.
Close question.
Okay. So you have your new album, your new album just came out. What can you tell me about it? It came out last week.
Yeah, I know.
Like, oh boy. So this is what I'm working with. And after 3 minutes, I ran out of questions.
So you ask him to draw something?
Yeah, we did. But I think when I asked him to draw something, he just left. So it was the other guy who was drawing. I think so.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like this was the worst. I've never had somebody be so irrespectful.
And he left you with the guy who doesn't speak English?
Who speaks very broken English, yes.
But at least he was drawing, so
And
I
he was
guess.
but the broken English guy tried to answer my questions a lot more than the other one.
And he was probably feeling at least.
I
Most
think
like,
he felt bad about the other guy.
yeah,
I
sorry,
think so.
that was what I was searching for. Yeah, but I don't understand. So he accepted to came on an interview, but he wasn't really into it. That's kind of funny, in a bad
I
way.
mean, you know, like I said, maybe he just got bad news. Maybe he had a bad morning. I don't know. But I think maybe he just didn't have a choice. You know,
Oh,
sometimes
maybe
you know,
he was pushed there. So
yeah. But that was very unpleasant.
but at least that's one to add to your experience. Now
Absolutely.
you probably better to deal with someone that doesn't speak that much, or at least.
Yeah. And another one that was pretty bad. And this I wouldn't even be able to tell you who it was because I just don't remember. But I remember getting out of an interview once and thinking that guy was very like that guy thinks he's above everybody else.
Oh, I think I prefer the stoner guy to someone who think he's God.
Yeah, because like, he was basically talking and he was like, you saw there was that attitude of I'm better than everybody. That was very annoying.
And was he?
No, like that. Personally, I don't.
Okay, well,
I
we stand clear here.
I don't remember the band, so it's hard to say. But I remember this is one of the interviews that I took, not because it was a band that I wanted to.
Okay.
It was one of the things saying like, "Oh, is anybody free this day? We just got approval for this, but nobody put down their name. So does anybody want to do it?" And I was like, "Sure."
Everyone knew except
And
you.
maybe that's why it was so bad.
How you manage to write a proper interview when you don't have like materials to use? If the guy just answer yes, no, and or doesn't want to answer, what do you do?
Well, I mean, back then we had once a month we would have a feature,
Okay.
which would be an actual article written out as an article. But otherwise, all of our other interviews were written like confront, question, artist, answer. It was written out as a conversation.
Oh, okay. Like a script.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah.
Because okay, I study in literature. I know how to put stuff in between to give more fat, if
Yeah.
I may.
Yeah.
But you can't expand. There's a point you can't go over.
Yeah, there is a limit to how much stuff you can put to fill out an interview that basically is just short answers. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. Thank you. Have a good day.
Bye.
Yeah, bye.
So those I think they would be the worst that I've had, you know, but I could go on and on about the good ones, but those were really the only ones that were really bad. But otherwise there was one more that it wasn't the interview that was bad. It was my situation after while writing up the transcript.
Why?
Because usually, so the best interviews are ones where you're one-on-one or with two other people. Because other than that, it starts to get hard to distinguish when everybody kind of talks at the same time. Because sometimes,
because we're listening back. Okay.
Yeah, because sometimes it would be they would all start answering at the same time, and I'm like, oh no.
The band two dot.
Yeah, but
One answer.
The worst was really Pierce the Veil, because they're twins.
Oh.
So I had 3 guys, and 2 of them are twins. So
did they sound the same?
They sounded almost the same.
Oh.
Almost. So not exactly, but you know, if they already sound almost the same when they're talking, imagine trying to decipher it out on a recording.
Yeah,
like
a
background
small
sound.
Yeah.
Because there's always going to be sound in the back, you know, people walking by or sound check. Sometimes sound check was in the background of my interviews, and I was like, oh no, I can't hear. And after a few interviews, you get to know that, man, this is going to be a hard part. No, they need to stop talking over there, or because that your recorder is going to pick up all the sounds around.
Yeah, everything around. Yeah.
So twins during an interview, that was not fun. Or when I had a full band of like 5 people, that was also not very fun, because there's a limit to, how well you can distinguish, especially when you don't know the band.
Yeah. And especially if they all talk the same with noise and everything, it's just like a big blur of words and a couple of sentences.
This is something I learned later on. I didn't do this the first times, but after a few, maybe like a couple of months, I realized it's a good idea to ask them to identify themselves at the beginning.
Yes. Yeah, good point. Good point.
So at the beginning, I would always say, okay, can you please introduce yourself for my recording, please? Yeah.
But you had access to backstage. You were probably at the venues before or after everyone else.
Mostly before. This was like in the random afternoon usually.
Okay. So, and you saw the band outside of their persona?
Yeah.
You probably saw some crazy stuff.
Not that much. Because what was crazy sometimes was actually just all the stares that you would get. Because sometimes I would just walk up to the backstage where there's people waiting, trying to spot people and trying to get pictures, like behind the Metropolis or something like that. And I'm there just walking up and knocking.
Hi, I'm Lili.
And being like the I guess the fan age of a lot of those bands, I would get a lot of looks from people saying like, who's that? Who's that?
I'm pretty sure that was more aggressive than that.
Yeah. And then, I would just walk in or sometimes, especially when I would walk into the bus, because sometimes the interviews were in the bus, and there I would get like glares. I was like, who is she?
There's picture of you on the internet somewhere, and people think you were a groupie or
who is this?
Yeah, or mistress or something.
Yeah, no, I'm just an interviewer. So that those were pretty crazy, because you wouldn't think that people would care that much, but they do.
They do a lot. They are waiting for that. So you're like an enemy.
Yeah. Otherwise, one of the crazy ones was Warped Tour. So I covered Warped Tour, or like any festival, but Warped Tour 2010 2010. That was the time I got to interview Sum 41.
Oh, cool.
So also another big band of my childhood, my teenage years. But it was also the day that I think I interviewed 9 or 10 bands.
Oh, that was a big day.
Yeah. So Warped Tour, how it works was you got there, you have your press pass, you got there, you write down your name for the bands. So the year that I went, this is how it worked. I think they changed it after, and you got confirmation for who you were going to interview in advance. But before, because Warped Tour, the bands never knew what time they were going to play at until the morning of. That's how Warped Tour works, to be fair. Everybody gets 30 minutes. Nobody knows when they're playing. So you can be Sum 41 and play at 2 p.m.
But did that mean you were fighting with all the other journalists around to get a spot?
So I think it was, so this is a long time ago. I don't remember that much. It was 10 years ago. But you put your name down, and I think it was, once again, first come, first serve.
Okay.
So then they would call your name, but basically what that meant was you had to stay at the press tent all day. You couldn't move.
So no shows for you.
But I planned it. So I went to see Warped Tour when I was at my grandma's in California.
Oh, smart.
Yeah. But so that day was really fun because I got to interview a lot of the bands I liked. So 2010, there was a lot of bands on that I loved. So I got to interview We the Kings, the Somerset, Sum 41, the Cab went back then, Never Shout Never. Like I said, I did 10. So, but the crazy part of that was after I had to write up 10 interviews.
Yeah. For the next morning? I hope not.
No. I had a few days. I think I had 2 weeks, but it was a lot of interviews.
Yeah. And you don't want to do them like just to fill up the form and forget about it. You want to put a little bit of effort in it. So
yeah.
Okay. But
So
on the other hand, you had the chance to meet so many bands, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that was really cool. And what was funny was since I had the press pass, it was basically the same press pass whether you were photographer or press. So I decided to once again take my little point and shoot and go to the photo pits in front of everybody, in front of the stages. So press conference, the interview stopped maybe like 2 hours before the end of the day. So I still had 2 hours where I could go and check out bands.
Did at the end of the day, is the bigger band still, or
not necessarily?
Not okay.
I think maybe like the bigger bands. Earlier I said Sum 41 can play at 2, but I think maybe they wouldn't. They would probably play like, well, it depends, because there was the main stage where there's most of the bigger bands, and even that it's any time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe you got lucky and saw something cool before the head.
Well, I saw We the Kings, which was one of the bands that I interviewed. I saw the Downtown Fiction, and I think I saw part of Sum 41 that day. So I was pretty happy. But I went in the photo pit for a few of those bands with my tiny little camera.
And your card. You have your
my bracelet. Card? My bracelet. It was a bracelet. Yeah. So that was fun. That was pretty fun.
But with all those bands around, you probably make many musical discoveries through the years.
I did. So sometimes I would accept to do a review of an album, because we would get sent albums, and sometimes I would accept it just because I was like, oh, this sounds good, let's listen to it, and I get it for free.
Yeah, free is always good.
But then that would be like, this album has very catchy songs.
Okay. I told you we will do at least one episode of reviewing.
And so I got into a few bands. There was My Darkest Days, which is a Canadian band. That is not anything that I would have listened to myself.
Okay.
It's on if you go on their Wikipedia, they were categorized as post-grunge alternative rock.
Okay, not that bad.
Not that bad, but like it wasn't really my style. But I really got into them because they were such sweethearts. See, that's the thing. If people are sweet, that gives them like a lot of bonus points on my "your music is also good" chart.
Yeah, but I think it's a part. You can be an artist, or at some extent a person, and being a total jerk and expect attention, respect, or anything. So if someone is cool and he's making music, even if it's not your style, you kind of connect to it in a way.
Yeah. I think that's what happened. And so, because before every interview, no matter what, I would look up the band a little bit and I would listen to some of the music so that I'm just not completely clueless. And so My Darkest Days was one that I discovered and I started to listen to a lot after Escape the Fate as well.
Okay.
Especially because Escape the Fate, I think I decided to go to their concert after.
Oh, after reviewing the album?
No, after interviewing the band.
Okay, you interview. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It's true, because you said that doesn't mean you saw them before the show. So
no. Okay. And Lights, Canadian singer Lights, is also somebody that I didn't listen to a lot, but I interviewed her, found her super sweet, and then started to listen to her a lot more after.
Okay.
Alex Goot as well. Alex Goot is one of the like OG YouTubers who was doing covers, and him as well. When I interviewed him when his solo stuff came out, I was like, "Oh, he's really sweet. He's really nice. Let's go check out more of his music." And later there was when I was in the second wave of Confront, if you will, so Into the Airwaves, which is the second magazine. One of the only interviews I did, because it was only for 2 years and I was still in school. No, was I still in school? No, I just started working, so it was even harder to get like afternoon off. I interviewed Nothing But Thieves, which is a band from the UK that are very good.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's funny. So, there's no band you just name I know.
No.
Like none.
Nope. So
they're discovery for me too.
Well, My Darkest Days doesn't do any more music. Lights hasn't released anything in a while. Nothing But Thieves, they're still pretty active. They keep posting. I think they did a live streaming concert or some live type of concert recently. Alex Scoot, he still does covers on YouTube. I haven't really watched any recently. And oh yeah. Yep. So those were basically my big discoveries.
That's nice.
Throughout the years that I remember. I don't, there's a lot, but those are the ones that I really remember and that are, I guess, still part of my rotation every once in a while now.
Oh, that's cool. But with all the interview, the experience you got with that, what did you learn about yourself? Because now I can say I learned that you're really ballsy.
Honestly, I think I just learned that about myself too, because I never really thought of it that way.
Okay, I'm surprised.
But what I really learned most was before Confront, I was a very shy person. So this is a little segue, but my mom worked for Club Med.
Okay.
For a long time. And every year we would go to an all-inclusive for a week. And my mom would always be like, oh, why don't you go hang out with the kids at the kids club? And I was like, no, I don't want to. I don't want to like talk to people I don't know. Until like I was 17 and I was like, okay, fine, let's do this because it's the last year I can. And then I started to make friends. But so see, I was a kid who was too scared to go talk to other kids. So this really brought me out of my shell.
Yeah, I imagine.
Yeah, this brought out the extroverted Lily because now I'm very extroverted and like you talk to everybody, but now I'm also one who talks a lot to people. And I think it was really thanks to Confront magazine that I became like this, because when you're an interviewer, you don't really have a choice.
Yeah, that's the point of being an interviewer. So I guess you had to do it. But I think that was a good way to learn that, because you had a motivation. You want to hear about those bands. You want to meet them. You wanted to probably live that experience. So that's nice.
Yeah, absolutely. But like, my care failure, like I said, my first interviews, they were kind of, they were a lot more awkward probably, because I was still the shy Lily. I think this is something that I've mentioned before, but my first interview with Simple Plan, my glasses got fogged up.
No, what? No? Tell me more about that, please.
I was sure I mentioned it before, so that's why I didn't say anything. The first interview I had with Simple Plan, I was so stressed out that my face was so hot that my glasses got foggy. So I had to take off my glasses.
Can you see without glasses?
I can see without glasses. I see fine if you're like not too far. So I had to take them off.
That's funny. You said you didn't want to look like a fangirl, but that's totally a fangirl move here.
Yeah. Oh boy. Okay, let's take this off. I couldn't see.
And now I have one last question for you.
Yeah.
Pretty easy. I will ask you to grab a piece of paper and a pen.
Okay.
and draw something that's gonna represent yourself, please.
Oh, okay. Let's see. It's funny because towards the end of my, well, not towards the end, but after a few years of interviews under my belt, I learned that I was better off trying to give them this last question before it ended.
Okay.
So I would ask them this question maybe like as a second to last question or a few questions before the end. But then sometimes what happens is they would just focus too much on the drawing and they couldn't multitask. So it came down to the same thing.
You lost them for the rest of the interview.
Or they would be like, they would be super concentrated. I would ask them something and they would be like, I'm sorry, what did you just say?
You're disturbing me. I'm drawing here.
Or on the contrary, they would just stop drawing and listen to me. And I was like, you're defeating the purpose of me trying to buy time.
But that's a nice move to, like you said, to get the attention. Oh, you're the girl who asked us to draw. I'm pretty sure they remember it. Like,
yeah,
the next time you meet the band.
I think I've definitely mentioned this to the guys from the main. Like, do you remember playing Pictionary?
Did they?
They said yes, but do they actually, or do they just say yes to be polite? I don't know.
Yeah, but sometimes those kind of stuff
It stays.
out.
Yeah, that's what I hope.
I don't remember which singer it was, but I heard a singer who had like a press release, but for people who want to interview her, and on the list, she mentioned every question she didn't want to answer.
Oh, really?
Because she said that like I don't remember, like the top 20 question I get every time I get an interview, I don't want you to ask me about them again. So each time you ask an interview with her, you have a list of questions you don't have to ask. So I'm pretty sure she remember when someone have a really good question outside of the box.
I guess so. Yeah.
Oh.
This is my little drawing. Oh.
Yay.
I mean,
pretty accurate. I'm pretty sure if I ask you that tomorrow, you will draw her with a new pair of glasses.
Maybe. No, I didn't draw these glasses properly, actually. Wait.
Because if you don't, if you don't notice yet, Lily chooses her glasses for every episode we have.
Yeah. Because I'm an optometrist and I have a lot of glasses.
Yeah, you represent. That's nice.
You never have too many pairs of glasses.
I have one and I will tell you it's enough. I lose them, I sit on them, I lost them, whatever. So one is enough.
Because especially nowadays, I work with security glasses, so I can't even wear them out anymore.
Yeah, that's
this is my way of showing off my glasses a little bit.
Yeah, that's fine.
This is my accessory. I don't change my earrings. I don't wear jewelry. I just wear my glasses.
Oh, that's a good point. That was nice. I hope I wasn't too bad, but you were great. You had so many great stories.
Man,
and
I have
even
so
some
many.
New one.
I have so many memories. I mean, after 8 years with the magazine, you can accumulate. And I'm very excited to talk with the other girls because I'm sure I'm gonna remember even more with them.
Yeah, and I'm really curious about. I'm pretty sure I talked a bit with Jenny about that, but I'm pretty curious about the fact you were almost all girls.
Yeah. So see, we never noticed. It never really crossed our minds.
That's totally a good thing, but that's interesting because you always see guys in those media stuff, like for example, podcast. How many white guys have a podcast right now? Way too much.
A lot is true.
But that's funny because I'm pretty sure they had story about. I hope not bad stories. I don't want to bring back some scares and stuff like that. But I hope they have good story about that because they were probably the only one in front. Or
yeah. So that's gonna be for Christine and maybe Angel.
Yeah,
the ones who
the first two girls,
started.
the OG
Yeah,
one, yeah.
yeah, exactly. Because even when Jenya and Melissa started, again, they already had a certain name for themselves, having worked for Confront and having been the head of Confront towards the end. But even in the reps, there was a lot. No, it was a lot of men. That's true. That's true. And it's funny because that's something that I also miss is seeing the reps. Because after a certain time, you get to know, like, I remember Donald from Warner, Eric from Universal, and like I'm here wondering if they're still with those labels now. Maybe because they were there pretty much the whole time I was with Confront, and so every time I would see them, it was also like, oh, how are you doing? How's your family? And they would ask, how's school?
How's school? Yeah. Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that was like a nice not business link, but because they know you bring something to the table and you need them, so it's like a win-win. So
yeah, but I was very happy because they were all very nice.
That's cool. That's cool to hear, because lately music community is sometimes it's weird. Let's say that. Just weird.
Yeah. I mean, they were nice to me. Maybe they weren't to everybody, but for me, they were nice.
So that was it. That was cool. I learned a lot about you.
Yep, I learned. Well, no, I didn't learn, but I remembered a lot about myself. There's a lot of things when that happened, mostly happy memories. And I'm very grateful to have had this experience. Very, very grateful.
And we will have plenty more with all the other girls.
Yep. So this was Sparkling Harmonies. We're your hosts, Lily, and also your guest of today, Lili-Anh.
François.
And we hope you listen to us again in our next episode. Bye.
Bye.